Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world of constant noise, information flashing, distractions swirling, and expectations piling up like bricks on our shoulders. In all that chaos, most people are drifting, physically awake but spiritually asleep. That's where this journey begins. Today, I'm inviting you to awaken, to step into a life not built by accident but by design. By your design. Let us start with a man whose thoughts have endured nearly a century. Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich. If you've heard his name before, you may associate him with wealth or success. But to limit his wisdom to money would be a grave disservice. Hill was speaking about the architecture of the mind, the power of desire, and the spiritual structure of achievement. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Napoleon Hill. This is more than a motivational poster quote. Let's break it down. Hill is telling us, the seed of everything begins in your imagination, what your mind can conceive. That means your goals, your future, your change. They start as thoughts. But it's not enough to simply imagine something and hope. That seed has to be nurtured by belief. Belief is the water to that seed. Without belief, the idea shrivels up. With belief, it grows roots. And once the mind both conceives and believes, Hill says you can achieve. That's not a guarantee of ease. It's a blueprint that requires work, will, and sometimes warfare with your own fear. Hill doesn't promise results without labor. But he reminds us that if the foundation of thought and belief is firm, achievement is possible, even inevitable. So let me ask you now, personally, what have you conceived? What do you believe about yourself? There are two types of people in the world: those who react to life, those who create their life. Hill was asking us to be creators, not just of wealth, but of meaningful direction. And this is where desire plays a crucial role. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results, just as a small fire makes a small amount of heat. Napoleon Hill. Desire is not mere wishful thinking. It's not the soft want we feel for comfort or approval. True desire is a force. It has direction, energy, hunger. It's the engine of purpose. Imagine standing in a cold forest with a match and a few twigs. You strike the match and a tiny flame emerges. That flame is your desire. Now, what happens if you don't feed it? It dies. But if you tend to it, gathering wood, protecting it from wind, and feeding it with fuel, it becomes a bonfire, a force of warmth, visibility, and power. That is what desire can become in your life. If you respect it, fuel it, and let it grow stronger than your fears. Too often, we suppress our desires. Why? We're afraid of failing. We think we don't deserve more. We believe our moment has passed. But none of that is real. It's just noise, internal static, and as Hill emphasized throughout his work, the mind is a battleground. The war is within, not without. Think of your own life right now. What are the desires you've placed on the shelf? What dreams have gathered dust because someone told you they weren't realistic? Take them down, dust them off. If you want to build a purposeful life, you must begin with your deepest desire, not society's checklist. And I'll leave you with this question to reflect on as we move to the next part of this journey. What do you want so badly that you're willing to become someone new to have it? That is the root of transformation. We began this journey with the seed of desire, the spark that fuels transformation. But a spark is not a flame unless it's protected, nurtured, and given the structure it needs to grow. So today, let's talk about the structure of belief and the power of habit, the bones of every success story. Faith is the eternal elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Napoleon Hill. What is faith? Hill isn't referring to religion alone here. He's talking about mental certainty, A belief so deeply embedded in your identity that it becomes automatic. When you believe in something with unwavering faith, your behavior changes. Not because you're forcing it, but because it's now who you are. Let's get clear on this. Thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become decisions, and decisions form habits. Habits shape outcomes, and over time, outcomes define your identity. This is why changing your life starts not with your actions, but with your inner narrative. Now, here's something Hill understood that most people miss. You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. That sounds empowering, even romantic. But in truth, it's terrifying. Because it means no one is coming to save you. It's not your parents, not your partner, not your boss, not the economy. It's you. The person you become is the result of the thoughts you allow to dominate your mind. And for those thoughts to hold, they must be repeated, over and over, until belief becomes reflex. That brings us to habit. Hill was obsessed with repetition, and rightly so. A single act does not shape you. A repeated act becomes a habit, and habits are the software of identity. Every time you act with courage, you become more courageous. Every time you honor a commitment, you become more trustworthy to others and to yourself. Now, let's look at one of Hill's most practical strategies for building belief: autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the agency of control through which an individual may voluntarily feed his subconscious mind on thoughts of a creative nature. In simple terms, you become what you consistently tell yourself. You might scoff at affirmations or daily mantras, but think of the flip side. If you allow negative, defeating thoughts to replay all day, "I'm not good enough. It's too late. People like me don't succeed." That's also autosuggestion. You're programming your subconscious either way. The only question is, are you doing it on purpose? Hill encouraged writing out your major goal in vivid detail. Read it aloud, with emotion, every morning and night. Why? Because emotion plus repetition equals transformation. Repetition rewires your brain. Emotion locks it in. If you tell yourself every day, "I am building a life of freedom, I am becoming someone strong, disciplined, and bold," it will feel awkward at first, but keep doing it. Eventually, your subconscious accepts it. It starts working for you instead of against you. This is not magical thinking, it's neural conditioning. Now, some of you may be thinking, "That sounds great, but what if I fail too many times? What if I don't trust myself anymore?" Then your first task is to restore self-trust. And the fastest way to rebuild trust is through small promises kept. Don't start by trying to overhaul your entire life in one leap. Start by doing one thing you said you'd do. Go on a walk. Finish the book. Call that person. One win leads to another. You don't need motivation. You need evidence that you are who you say you are. As Hill said, self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you do not control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs, your desires, or your passions. Discipline is not punishment. It's self-respect. Think of it this way. If you had a friend who constantly broke promises, showed up late, gave up halfway through plans, would you trust them? Probably not. So why would your future self trust you if you're doing the same? You can change that starting today. Discipline is not about restriction. It's about alignment with your desires. Let's wrap this part with a truth that Hill emphasized repeatedly. Success is not a matter of luck, fate, or privilege. It's a system, one built on desire, faith, and daily practice. You already have the tools. You just have to use them deliberately. In the next segment, we'll explore a concept Hill considered essential to reaching any meaningful goal: the mastermind principle. Because even the strongest mind needs reinforcement. We've talked about desire, belief, and the habits that shape your identity. These are powerful forces, internal ones. But the next truth is simple and inescapable. You become the average of the people you associate with most. Napoleon Hill took that one step further with his mastermind principle, one of the most underappreciated ideas in his philosophy. No individual may have great power without availing himself of the mastermind. Napoleon Hill. So, what is it? A mastermind is not just a group. It is a coordination of knowledge and effort in the spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. It's about aligned minds combining their energy. And according to Hill, when that happens, a third invisible force is created, a kind of mental multiplier, like electricity flowing through connected wires. Think of your own life. How often are you surrounded by people who genuinely believe in growth? How often do your conversations center around vision, character, or possibility? If your circle drains you, doubts you, distracts you, it doesn't matter how powerful your internal desire is. It will be like trying to build a fire in the rain. On the other hand, if you build a circle, even just one other person who shares your vision, who encourages your potential, who keeps you accountable, that's when things change quickly. Because here's what Hill discovered. Isolation is the enemy of transformation. In his research, he studied 500 of the most successful men in America. People like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, and he discovered a pattern. None of them worked alone. Ford had Edison. Carnegie had Schwab. Hill had his own mentors guiding him through the chaos of his early years. They collaborated, challenged each other, and held one another to a higher standard. Let me offer a metaphor. Imagine two horses pulling a load. You'd think two horses could pull twice as much weight as one. But in reality, two trained horses pulling in harmony can pull 4 times as much. That's synergy. That's the mastermind effect. So, what does this mean for you? It means you have to audit your environment. Who do you talk to most? What do you read, watch, and listen to? Do those influences fuel your belief or chip away at it? Hill said, every man is what he is because of the dominating thoughts which he permits to occupy his mind. Let that sink in. Your dominant thoughts determine who you are becoming. And your dominant thoughts are shaped not just by you, but by your environment. So, if you want to live on purpose, you must be ruthless with your inputs. Sometimes that means making hard choices, distancing yourself from old friends, saying no to gossip, small talk, and complaining. It might mean standing alone for a while, until you find people aligned with your future. And here's a secret. The mastermind doesn't have to be huge. Start with one person, one book, one mentor, one podcast. Even a single conversation repeated often enough can reshape your mind. You don't need more information. You need reinforcement. Let's talk about a practical step here. Build a growth alliance. Choose 2 or 3 people, friends, colleagues, online mentors, and commit to these things. Meet regularly, in person or virtually. Share your goals and progress openly. Hold each other accountable without judgment. Celebrate growth, not perfection. This may sound simple, but it is profoundly powerful. Because when your vision is mirrored by others, it becomes more real. Doubt weakens, momentum builds. Hill also warned of the opposite effect. He called it hypnotic rhythm, the tendency of people to drift through life repeating the same thoughts, habits, and failures over and over, simply because that's what their environment rewards. To break free from hypnotic rhythm, you must disrupt your default. And the fastest way to do that is to surround yourself with people who challenge your default. So ask yourself, who in your life makes you think bigger? Who encourages your best self? Who refuses to let you settle? And equally important, who triggers small thinking? Who makes you feel ashamed of wanting more? Who benefits from your stagnation? There's no shame in walking away from patterns that no longer serve your future. That's not abandonment, it's alignment. In the next section, we'll confront something that stops most people dead in their tracks: fear. We'll explore Hill's famous analysis of the 6 basic fears and how to overcome them with definiteness of purpose and action. We have spoken of desire, belief, habit, and environment. But even with all that in place, one force can still bring it all crashing down: fear. Fear is the invisible prison that keeps brilliant minds small. It's the voice that says, "What if you fail? What will they think? You're not ready." Napoleon Hill understood fear not as an emotion to ignore, but as a system to dismantle. In Think and Grow Rich, he wrote, "Fears are nothing more than a state of mind. One state of mind is subject to control and direction." In other words, fear is not a monster. It's a pattern, a mental habit. Hill identified 6 basic fears that afflict most people: fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love, fear of old age, fear of death. And behind these, there's usually one dominant culprit: indecision. When you're uncertain, fear grows. The longer you hesitate, the louder fear becomes. It multiplies in silence. It festers in delay. But when you move, decisively, purposefully, it loses power. Let's talk about 2 of these fears that silently kill more dreams than any other: poverty and criticism. The fear of poverty. This isn't just about money. It's the fear of not having enough. Enough resources, enough status, enough safety. It drives people to live in scarcity mode. Settle for less, play it safe, stay small. The irony? That mindset is what creates poverty of spirit. Hill taught that the antidote to the fear of poverty is definiteness of purpose, a clear mission that gives your mind direction. There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. Napoleon Hill. When your purpose is strong enough, fear becomes secondary. You may still feel it, but you no longer obey it. The fear of criticism. This one is insidious. How often have you hesitated? Not because you feared failure, but because you feared judgment. What will they say if I speak up? What if they laugh? Who do I think I am? This fear can sabotage people who are otherwise talented, driven, and ready. Why? Because human beings are social creatures. We're wired to want approval, but here's the truth. Approval is a dangerous addiction. Hill was crystal clear on this. Fear of criticism robs man of his initiative, destroys his power of imagination, limits his individuality, takes away his self-reliance. Let me say something hard but necessary. They're already judging you. Whether you rise or shrink, speak or stay silent, someone, somewhere will have something to say. You cannot control that, but you can control your alignment. If you're acting in integrity toward your purpose, then criticism is just background noise. Don't let someone else's insecurity become your ceiling. So how do we conquer fear? Not by pretending it's not there, not by brute force, but by movement, specifically by acting in service of something bigger than the fear. Hill teaches us that the only enduring antidote to fear is purpose-driven action. Think of fear like fog, dense, heavy, blinding. But when you walk into it, step by step, it starts to thin. That's what action does. Action transforms fear from something paralyzing to something manageable. Now, let's revisit something I said earlier. Definiteness of purpose. This isn't just a motivational phrase, it's the compass of your life. Hill taught that all great achievements begin when a person commits to a single, clearly defined aim. So let me ask you, what is your definite purpose? Can you state it in one sentence? Have you written it down? Are your daily actions aligned with it? If the answer's no, don't worry. That's where many people start. But today, right now, you can choose to define it. Here's a simple framework Hill recommended. Decide what you want. Be specific, not vague like more money or a better life, but crystal clear. Decide what you'll give in return. Success is never free. What will you sacrifice, change, invest? Set a deadline. Goals without time frames are just fantasies. Create a plan, even if it's imperfect. Start with something. Write a clear statement of your goal and read it twice daily, morning and night, with emotion. This is not just a list, it is a contract with yourself. You're not waiting to find your purpose. You're choosing it, claiming it. Once you do, fear takes a back seat. It may still ride with you, whispering doubts, but it no longer gets to drive. Let me end this section with a final reminder from Hill. Most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. So, wherever you are right now, even if you feel stuck, late, or overwhelmed, know this. You may be one clear decision away from everything changing. In the next and final section, we'll pull it all together. We'll talk about the long game, persistence, resilience, and how to live a life that doesn't just chase success, but builds legacy. We've covered a lot of ground. From desire to belief, habit to environment, fear to purpose. But if there's one trait that separates those who dream from those who finish the race, it's this: persistence. In Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill writes, "Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting." Success is not a straight line. It's messy. It tests you, it delays you, it hands you silence when you crave applause, and hands you challenge when you think you've earned ease. But if you stay in motion, if you refuse to stop, that's when the compound effect of effort begins to kick in. Let me be very clear. Most people fail not because they lack talent, ideas, or opportunity, but because they give up too soon. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. Napoleon Hill. You don't become unbreakable overnight. Steel is created through intense heat, pressure, and time. So is character. That moment when you feel exhausted, alone, and tempted to quit. That's not the end. That is the threshold, the gate between the average and the exceptional. Those who persist are not always the smartest. They're not always the most gifted. But they are the ones who decide, this is not how my story ends. And that brings us to something deeper, something beyond personal achievement. Let's talk about legacy. Because once you've overcome fear, established purpose, built belief, and practiced persistence, you start to realize this was never just about you. Hill's teachings point to this truth. We are stewards of something greater than our individual lives. Yes, personal success matters, but it becomes truly powerful when it serves something beyond the self. Ask yourself, who benefits when I live at my highest level? What ripples do I create when I choose growth over comfort? What example am I leaving behind? You're not just building a career or a lifestyle. You're building a model of possibility for your children, your peers, your community, your future self. Hill understood that wealth without purpose becomes emptiness. But when purpose fuels every action, when your life becomes a message, you no longer need external approval. Your legacy begins to speak for you. The world has the habit of making room for the man whose words and actions show that he knows where he is going. Napoleon Hill. So where are you going? Let's bring everything together now. Here's your blueprint inspired by Hill's philosophy. Desire, know what you want. Let it burn inside you. Belief, build unwavering faith through repetition and aligned action. Habit, live by systems, not moods. Discipline is your liberation. Environment, surround yourself with minds that sharpen yours. Purpose, define it. Write it, live it daily. Persistence. Keep showing up, especially when you don't feel like it. Legacy. Think bigger than the present. Build something that lasts. This isn't theory, it's a daily practice. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. If Hill were here today, I believe he would say, your mind is your workshop. Your thoughts are your tools. The blueprint is yours to draw. Now build. So as you leave here, remember this. Don't just think and grow rich. Think and grow strong. Think and grow disciplined. Think and grow generous. Think and grow whole. Because when you grow, truly, deeply, with intention, everything else follows. Let today be the day you stop waiting for permission. The day you stop asking who you could become and start declaring who you will become. And never forget, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Napoleon Hill. So grow, persist, and build something worthy of the life you were given. Thank you.